I can't believe I'm telling this story, but if karma had a face, this would be it. It's about a woman everyone overlooked, mistreated, and humiliated until karma made them regret every single thing they did to her. She wasn't rich. She didn't have power. At least, that's what they thought. But when the truth came out, the same people who called her just a maid were begging her for mercy. This is one of those stories that sticks with you. It made me rethink everything I know about kindness, judgment, and how fast your world can flip. Let me explain how it all started. Her name was Ayesha. She had soft eyes, always tired but gentle. She worked as a live-in maid for a wealthy family in Lahore, the Aslams. Rich, proud, and the kind of people who measured respect in rupees. The mother, Mrs. Aslam, was the queen of cruelty, always shouting, always complaining, never satisfied. Her daughter, Sana, was even worse. Entitled, mean, and obsessed with her status. Only one person in that house treated Ayesha like a human being. A little boy, but 8 years old. Quiet, kind-hearted, always watching more than speaking. "Why does Mama call you a burden?" he asked one day, his voice barely louder than a whisper. Ayesha smiled. "Because she doesn't understand value yet, beta." And that one line, it carried more power than they knew. But there's something even more shocking you need to know. Ayesha wasn't just a maid. She was hiding something. Something big. But before I tell you what it was, you need to understand the hell she went through in that house. It started with the little things. Cold tea thrown in her face. Her own clothes stolen. Verbal abuse for the tiniest mistakes. Mrs. Aslam would say things like, "Your kind should be grateful we even let you sleep under our roof." Sana once accused Ayesha of stealing a gold bracelet, knowing full well she hid it herself just to cause drama. The police were called. Ayesha didn't even defend herself. She just stood there, silent, tears quietly falling down her cheeks. But do you know what's wild? She had enough money to buy 10 of those bracelets. You're probably wondering, why would anyone rich live like a servant? The answer? Karma. She was waiting. Watching. Letting every insult, every slap, every humiliation stack up like dry wood before a fire. Because Ayesha had a plan. Let me explain how the real story unfolded. Weeks turned into months. The cruelty got worse. Ayesha never complained. And then one morning, just like that, she disappeared. No goodbye. No warning. Nothing. Mrs. Aslam was furious. "She ran off like a thief," she screamed. "Ungrateful rat." But Ahad. He just stared out the window, silent. He knew something wasn't right. And oh boy, he was right. Because what happened next turned their world upside down. It had been 2 weeks since Ayesha vanished. No one could find her. Not the neighbors, not the other housemaids in the area, nothing. She was gone like smoke. Mrs. Aslam was more annoyed than worried. She probably ran back to her filthy village. Good riddance. But even with her gone, weird things started happening. First, Sana's university tuition got rejected. Then, Mr. Aslam's business loan was unexpectedly declined by every bank in town. And most mysteriously, their private events, usually flooded with elite guests, started being cancelled. Left and right. One by one, doors that were once wide open started slamming shut. Then came the invitation. An expensive envelope, golden edges, black ink. Addressed to the esteemed Aslam family. Inside was a personal invite to a grand charity gala at the 5-star Empire Grand Hotel. It was signed by a name none of them recognized. A. Zara Foundation, founder and CEO, Ayesha Zara. Mrs. Aslam's face twisted. Wait, Ayesha Zara? Couldn't be. Their maid was named Ayesha. But Zara? That sounded rich. Still, the invite promised high-profile guests, media coverage, luxury dinner service, and exclusive business networking. Mr. Aslam's eyes lit up. "This could fix our reputation," he said. "Let's go." That night was something else. Chandeliers. Red carpets. Waiters in tuxedos. Every important person in town was there. CEOs, politicians, influencers. And at the very front of the massive ballroom stage, Ayesha, dressed in a royal blue sari. confident, graceful, smiling. Not the timid maid they once knew, but the host of the night. The crowd applauded as she walked up to the mic. Sana gasped. Mrs. Aslam's jaw dropped. Mr. Aslam whispered, "What is this?" And then Ayesha began speaking. "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for joining me for a cause close to my heart, restoring dignity and education to domestic workers across Pakistan." The hall erupted in applause. But her next words? They silenced the entire room. "I used to be a maid," she said. "Not because I had to, but because I wanted to understand how people treat those they think are beneath them." You could hear a pin drop. Some people treated me with kindness. Others treated me with cruelty so shocking, it still burns. Her eyes locked onto the Aslams. I lived in their home. I cleaned their floors. I served their meals. I was called names, accused of theft, insulted, even slapped. The crowd turned toward the Aslams in disbelief. Mrs. Aslam tried to stand up, but no one moved to let her leave. Because Ayesha wasn't done yet. "But karma doesn't forget," she said softly. "And sometimes it waits patiently." And that's when she dropped the bombshell. "My name is Ayesha Zara. I'm the daughter of late businessman Zahid Ali Zara. When he passed away, I inherited his company, his wealth, and his foundation. But before I took the throne, I wanted to test humanity, to see how people would treat me without my last name." She smiled again. "And I learned everything." The ballroom stayed silent. All eyes were on Ayesha, no longer the girl mopping floors in silence, but a queen commanding attention with just her words. And the Aslams? They looked like ghosts. Mrs. Aslam's hands were shaking. Sana's lip was trembling. Even Mr. Aslam, usually cold and stone-faced, had gone pale. Ayesha's voice cut through the silence like a blade. "Do you remember the bracelet?" she asked, her gaze fixed on Sana. Sana froze. "You accused me of stealing it. You called the police. You humiliated me." Ayesha stepped closer to the edge of the stage. "And yet, I stayed quiet, because I wanted you to show the world who you really were when no one was watching." At this point, whispers filled the room. People were pointing. Phones were recording. Everyone was seeing the karma unfold live. Ayesha took a breath. "This isn't about revenge," she said. "It's about reflection. Every day, there are thousands of women like me, working in silence. Some are strong, some are breaking inside. But all of them, all of us, deserve dignity." That line landed hard. Even the most hardened guests in the crowd were nodding, some wiping away tears. She wasn't just telling her story. She was speaking for every invisible woman whose pain had been ignored. But then, she paused. And this is where it gets real. Because she looked at Ahad. Yes, the little boy. The only person in that house who ever showed her kindness. She smiled at him. "Beta," she said warmly, "I didn't forget you." Ahad looked stunned, almost emotional. Ayesha nodded toward her assistant, who walked over to him and handed him a gift bag. Inside, a personalized scholarship card, paid in full until university, signed. "From someone who never forgot your kindness." Sana's jaw dropped. Her own education had just been blocked. But the maid's scholarship went to her little brother. Talk about karma slapping hard. Mrs. Aslam couldn't take it anymore. She stood up and blurted out, "You tricked us. You deceived us." But Ayesha didn't flinch. She simply replied, "I revealed you. There's a difference." That line hit harder than a slap. And what came next? Let's just say karma wasn't done. Mr. Aslam, desperate to save face, walked up to Ayesha after the event. He extended his hand and said, "Let's talk business. We can support your foundation." But Ayesha didn't shake it. Instead, she leaned in and said quietly, "I don't work with people who treat humans like trash. I fund institutions that protect them from people like you." Then she turned away, just like they once turned their backs on her. And the aftermath? The Aslams became the talk of the town, for all the wrong reasons. Their reputation? Ruined. Their social circle? Shrinking faster than their bank balance. No one wanted to be seen with the family who abused a hidden heiress and then tried to beg her for favor. And Ayesha? She rose. Her foundation expanded. She funded schools, shelters, and legal aid for domestic workers all over the country. But she never bragged. She let her actions speak. Because Ayesha knew something they didn't. True power isn't about wealth. It's about how you treat people when you think they have nothing to give you. But wait, you thought that was the end? There's one final twist you didn't see coming. 2 weeks after the gala, the Aslam household was unrecognizable. Silence had replaced the constant yelling. The servants had quit. Their daughter Sana locked herself in her room. Mr. Aslam was knee-deep in debt, and for the first time ever, no one was picking up his calls. Even Mrs. Aslam, once a lioness, was now pacing around in a faded shalwar kameez, whispering to herself. They still couldn't believe it. Their maid, that quiet girl with downcast eyes, was now more respected than all of them combined. But karma wasn't done yet. One evening, as they sat in their lounge, trying to figure out how to pay their overdue bills, a knock echoed through the hallway. It was a delivery man. A large brown envelope. No return address. Inside? A letter. Handwritten. Simple. To the Aslam family, you once told me I was a burden. That I was lucky to even be in your home. But here's something I never told you. This house? It was never yours. My late father owned the land it stands on. He sold it to a partner in a handshake deal that was never legally filed. Years later, you bought this house from that partner, without knowing the original documents were missing. I found those documents. Legally, this property belongs to the Zara estate. I'm not here to throw you out. I'm giving you 30 days. Use the time wisely. Ayesha Zara. P.S. Tell Ahad to stay in touch. He deserves better than all of this. Just like that, the final strike. The very home where they humiliated her, now belonged to her. Karma wasn't just poetic, it was property registered. In the weeks that followed, the Aslams packed their lives into cardboard boxes. No drivers. No staff. No pride left. They moved to a much smaller place on the outskirts of town. People stopped talking to them. Sana tried to post on Instagram, but all the comments were filled with, "Is this the same girl who bullied her maid? You got served by karma." Ayesha Zara would never act like this. Meanwhile, Ayesha turned the old Aslam mansion into a rescue home for underprivileged girls and abused maids. It was now called the House of Dignity. And right at the entrance, a plaque with her words engraved. Never underestimate the quiet ones. Karma hears what you don't. And that, my friend, was the rise of Ayesha Zara. From floor mopper to foundation founder. From servant to savior. All because she believed in patience, grace, and the power of karma.